Hello again, everyone. The Snowman here, back with part 3 of an 8-part preview series where I'm looking at every group in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. On tap right now is Group C. Please check out my other previews too. Give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content, but going to take a look at the 4 teams in Group C, talk about how each nation got to Qatar, spotlight some star players, some coaches, and give my expectations for this group. And some very entertaining teams in this Group C. We've got the reigning South American champions Argentina, the heavy underdogs from Asia, Saudi Arabia. Mexico will be making their 17th appearance at the World Cup finals, and then Poland back on the world stage after their disappointment from Euro 2020. So let's dissect each team one by one, starting off with the sizable favorites in Group C, Argentina. They had by definition a perfect qualifying campaign, undefeated throughout South American qualifying. All the headlines may have gone to Brazil, but Argentina quietly handling their business to the tune of 11 wins and 6 draws. Technically, they still have one match to play against Brazil in September. That's because of a bizarre scenario. One of their qualifiers got postponed due to COVID travel procedures not being met. Border officials had to come onto the field mid-match, stop the qualifier 5 minutes in, but Argentina is all fine now. Very consistent the whole way through. Lautaro Martinez and Lionel Messi, both with 7 goals during qualifying to lead their nation to an 18th World Cup appearance. Let's talk more about the living legend, Leo Messi. Still a key player for his national team. Messi, 35 years of age. This probably his final World Cup as a player. His first season at PSG last year, pretty underwhelming, but he finally got the monkey off his back by helping Argentina win the Copa America, his first ever international trophy. We know he's still among the best forwards in the world, always dangerous with the ball at his feet. Leo might not be the same player he was at the 2014 World Cup, where he won the Golden Ball as best player, but I'm certain he still feels he's got enough juice in the tank to hopefully cap an iconic career with a dream run in Qatar. The manager is Lionel Scaloni, 44-year-old former player for Argentina. He was put in charge after the disappointment at the 2018 World Cup. Scaloni with some pretty impressive results in his short time at the helm, 3rd place at the 2019 Copa America. Then he helped Argentina win their first major trophy in 28 years with the 2021 Copa America title. Scaloni just 4 defeats in 47 matches coaching the national team. And in terms of my expectations for Argentina at this World Cup, only once since 1970 have they not advanced out of the group stage, and even with formidable foes like Poland and Mexico, it would be a colossal shock if Argentina doesn't advance to the knockout stage. In fact, it's likely they win this group. I see Argentina as a semi-final team. Maybe they meet the Dutch in the quarters. I'd give the edge to Argentina. This is a much more balanced team than some in the past, more bite in the midfield with guys like Paredes, De Paul, and Lo Celso, more organization in the back than in the past as well. They've got flash and substance, so quarterfinals should be expected with perhaps a run at the semis and just maybe a little bit more. Switching from CONMEBOL to CONCACAF, Mexico, our next team in Group C. This will be their 8th consecutive appearance at the World Cup finals. Overall, a very solid qualifying run despite this team not being as glamorous as some in the recent past. It's definitely a younger bunch, just 17 goals scored throughout the octagonal for El Tri, but they started off and closed things out pretty strong. The only main adversity came right in the middle, Mexico sustaining back-to-back road losses to US and Canada, 2-0 to the Americans. Really, Mexico was the 3rd best team in North America, despite what the table says, and one of their older veterans, Raul Jimenez, the Wolverhampton man, was the leading scorer with 3 goals. In addition to Jimenez, another player they'll need production out of in Qatar is Hirving Chucky Lozano, who, when he's in form, one of the most fun and exciting forwards to watch. The 27-year-old has had his fair share of injuries over the last year plus, also had COVID last season, but when Lozano is firing on all cylinders, he unlocks a ceiling for Mexico that allows them to play dangerous, multi-dimensional football. He's gearing up for his 4th season in Italy at Napoli. Lozano typically plays out on the left wing, a very creative player, good technique, loves to cut in on his right foot and let it fly from distance. And as a German fan, I'll always be scarred by Lozano's strike, which downed Germany in Russia 2018. He's a game changer. Interesting dynamic for Mexico at head coach. They're led by an Argentine, Gerardo Martino. Martino, Mexico's manager since 2019, has led them to a Gold Cup title that same year and a Gold Cup runner-up finish in 2021. However, before that, from 2014 to 16, Martino was the head coach of Argentina, so he'll know these opposing players extremely well, especially one Leo Messi, who he also coached prior to that for a season at FC Barcelona, so there's a ton of familiarity both ways with Martino. As far as the odds go, Mexico will likely be right there with Poland battling for second place in this group. I give a slight edge to the Poles, but Mexico should be thinking they can make it out to the knockout stage. Unfortunately for them, a runner-up finish in Group C means you probably have to meet France in the round of 16, so I'd put that as the ceiling for this Mexican team. Fun fact about Mexico, nobody has more losses in World Cup history than Mexico with 27. Makes sense when you think about it. You've got to be consistent enough to qualify for a ton of World Cups, but also not good enough to win the whole thing. Second most losses on that list, Argentina. Third team in Group C, Poland, aside, I'm very excited to chat about. They were second place in their UEFA qualifying group. Tough to get drawn in the same group as England. They lost at Wembley 2-1 on match day 3 to give England some breathing room, but Poland pretty comfortably second best out of this crop, edging out teams like Hungary and Albania. Then in the UEFA playoff, Poland did catch a bit of a break with Russia being suspended from World Cup qualification. That put the Poles automatically into the playoff final against Sweden, the team that knocked them out of Euro 2020 just 9 months earlier. Lewandowski and Zielinski the scores in a 2-0 victory to send Poland back to their 9th World Cup. The second half penalty strike, one of 9 goals Lewandowski scored throughout qualifying. Now let's talk more about the Polish captain. What can't Robert Lewandowski do? Well, other than score a goal at the World Cup, Louis is undoubtedly his country's most important player, a perfect number 9 striker. 34 years old, he's Poland's all-time leader in caps and goals scored with 76. Second place in Ballon d'Or voting in 2021 behind Messi. So technically we've got the 2 best players in the world in this group. Lewandowski recently moving to Barcelona after spending 12 years in the Bundesliga with Dortmund and Munich. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of this generation and an all-time legend of the game. The current manager of Poland is 52-year-old Czesław Michniewicz. That's because Paulo Sousa left abruptly in December last year. Michniewicz just hired in January of 2022, mostly has experience coaching domestically in Poland. Also coached Poland's U21 team from 2017 to 2020. He's a former goalkeeper trying to steer Poland into the knockout stage for the first time since 1986. And I anticipate Poland indeed advancing out of this group. I think it's easy to see their growth in just a short period of time. At the Euros last summer, they looked more like a one-man band, but now they're able to give Lewandowski much more support. Guys like Szymanski and Zielinski are willing to take on defenders on the flanks. They keep a pretty solid shape defensively too. Poland did have a tough run in the UEFA Nations League back in June, specifically a 6-1 defeat to Belgium, but I think they're good enough to escape Group C, and then we'll see what happens from there. That opening match between Poland and Mexico on the third day of the tournament will be vital for both nations. Finally, let's wrap up by talking a little bit about the underdog, Saudi Arabia. The odds makers give them about a 15% chance to finish top 2 in this group, but to their credit, they got through Asian qualifying with relative ease. Not that it's the most intimidating opposition, but in Phase 2, Saudi Arabia went undefeated, 22 goals scored, just 4 conceded. Then in the third round of Asian qualifying, more of the same, just 1 loss to Japan, but a perfect 9-0 record at home throughout qualification. Saudi Arabia with some impressive wins over Japan and Australia. They advanced to their 2nd consecutive World Cup and 6th overall. My key player for Saudi Arabia is 31-year-old winger Salem Al-Dawsari. He's been an important piece of the national side since 2011, scored at the 2018 World Cup, had 5 goals in 2022 World Cup qualifying. Al-Dawsari is a player with great dribbling ability and control. He certainly has the capability of flying past defenders, a very adventurous attacker, and like every other player on this roster, he plays domestically in Saudi Arabia, and with his club, he's won the Saudi Professional League a total of 4 times, has also won the AFC Champions League twice, being the MVP of the competition in 2021. The head coach is a Frenchman, Hervé Renard, who's got an incredibly fascinating resume. This man has managed teams all over the world. Before taking the Saudi Arabia job in 2019, he coached Morocco's national team at the previous World Cup. Renard has also coached Ivory Coast, Zambia, Angola, and a handful of clubs too. He's the first and only manager to win the African Cup of Nations with 2 different countries. First was Zambia in 2012, also with Ivory Coast in 2015. But my apologies if you're a fan of Saudi Arabia. I do not have very high expectations for this group. It's a super tough Group C, and even if it wasn't, the Green Falcons, as they're called, not in the best form lately. A couple of friendly losses to Colombia and Venezuela, 2 South American teams who weren't even good enough to make the World Cup. And historically, Saudi Arabia has just 1 victory in their past 13 matches at the World Cup finals. I just don't see a whole lot of game changers, a whole lot of playmakers on this team. They're going to have to maintain a low block, keep their shape, and just hang on for dear life, which won't be easy against these 3 offenses in Group C. They're generally organized and pretty experienced, but if Saudi Arabia gets any points in this group, I would be incredibly surprised. Thanks a lot for watching my Group C World Cup preview. Again, please check out my other group previews as well. Leave a comment. Let me know who you think is going to do well in Group C, what you're most excited to watch unfold in this group. Subscribe to Snowman Sports Media for more soccer and football content, and I'll have more World Cup content very soon. Cheers.